All right, let's look at the next one that popped up. In 2016, Jeffstein McEffery was concerned that Julian Assange could release Podesta emails, and this might actually lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. And this one is really important for perhaps even what's happening right now with all the Epstein stuff. Now, I'm not saying that all this information is a hangout. I'm not saying that. Epstein is concerned that Assange could release this information. Epstein then mulls a plot where fake emails would be released. And this is what a trick that could be played, he says. Now, this is a limited hangout proof, and proof that people like Epstein know about and use and wanted to use a limited hangout. Limited hangout is where you have some media person or a foundation or an outlet or a whistleblower who pops up and then they suddenly leak information. And usually the original bits are credible. And then what happens is it turns more and more uncredible. It becomes a discrediting operation that mixes in aliens and space sex and all kinds of nonsense with the actual things to have a controlled PR dismantling. This is what PR firms do. You can actually hire PR firms to manage scandals and crises. And one of the techniques is to do this. But it's not just PR firms, it's also intelligence agencies, espionage operations. They know how to diffuse these situations through limited hangouts and fake leaks. Now, it's not always easy to know exactly when it's fake or when it's real. But look, common sense, usually when it's a limited hangout or a fake thing, it ties in immediately some ridiculous, retarded nonsense. For example, remember Robert David Steele, the CIA whistleblower, who first came out talking about, I think he even mentioned Epstein, but he talked about child, TRAFFICKING. He talked about all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly on Lord Voldemort's show, he says, and they're taking the children to Mars and they're farming out the space babies on Mars. Classic limited hangout disinformation. So a lot of the time, the reason that you can't know right away is because it takes time for you to see whether the person is credible. But because people have bird brain and bird memory, they don't recall 2 weeks ago what that person was saying. I mean, this is exactly why Candace is still popular, because people have forgotten the crazy shit she said 3 weeks ago, which has all been discredited. And now she's on to the new episode of X-Files, the new monster of the week. So because people have bird brain, they don't remember and they don't take care to watch. Okay, let's see. Is this person credible in a year, in 6 months? Or are they saying crazy shit, even though they've said seemingly credible things right away or possible things? Again, Q-tards. Q-tards fell for this. I said day one, Q was fake. I did not say every element of PIZZ was fake. And I'm not saying, you know what I'm talking about, PIZZ. We're just going to call it the pizzazz, okay? No, I've always held that there was something there with pizzazz, probably could be CP, could be farming out actual intimacy settings with young people. I was always skeptical of the kill room scenario. I thought that was all a bunch of nonsense, and it all went crazy on purpose. So the direction that pizzazz went ended up being a limited hangout, even though there's a kernel elements of truth at the beginning. And all the Q-tards, they're still Q-tards, amazingly. But Q has kind of died away, and Q is now Quandus. Quandus is the new Q. So what appears to be an authentic Jeffstein McEffery email, it says, Assange is releasing these Hillary emails. This might actually lead to her arrest. And he's linked some articles talking about it. Debka, and I think is that German media. And then it says, the question I have is, imagine that he does release these. Or no, the question I have, what if he releases, quote, fake emails? They report to show bad stuff, but that his team is crafted, and then they get out of media. Then they get out in the media. What a trick that could be played. So he's speaking of what's called a limited disinformation hangout right there. Okay. In 2009, in an email to Jewish academic Robert Schenck, Epstein disparages non-Jews. He brags about profiting from financial speculation, and he claims success by shorting shipping futures. while the goy bear real economy risks. This is the way that we make money, and fortune can be made in a fortune in the past 10 years. Short selling shipping futures and let the goy deal in the real world. So there you go in terms of the type of supremacy that we're talking about, and it's not cracker supremacy. Okay, next, alleged bombshell. Let's look at this one. And this one relates to the many podcasts we did about the Diddy stuff, when all the Diddy stuff was breaking. Me, Tristan, and the Sam Hyde episode. We talked about this for a large portion of the Sam Hyde episode, which is now my PGL episode with Sam is now public. You can go watch the whole episode almost a year ago. In 2019, the FBI crisis intake document shows a woman called the Bureau to report being the victim of an abuse by Jeff Stein and others. The allegations are stunning. She alleges that she was abducted from her home. She woke up in a mansion in the presence of Harvey and Jay-Z while Weinstein did things to her. She was abducted on 7 occasions. Now, this is one of the ones where I think we have to be a little careful here, because remember, this is a 2019 FBI report. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen. It's possible, but it does seem a little outlandish that Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein and Pusha T would have to drug and abduct a woman to engage in this kind of stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. This one sounds like I would be skeptical of this one. So remember, these are just complaints that come into the FBI. It doesn't necessarily mean that it happened. Could it have happened? I suppose it isn't. It's within the realm of possibility. But people over the last several years, when you have high profile people, for example, Jay-Z, they even said Kanye, others, right? You can also have crazy people who latch onto this and claim, they abducted me in my sleep and they took me to the mansions and they, again, this one is just more speculative. So it is possible, but it does not seem, in my opinion, to be likely. All right. So we've got a zillion more that we can look at here. This one was an odd one because, we've covered a lot of Michael Saylor's talks on this channel in regard to Bitcoin. And apparently Epstein wanted to target and get into the circles of Saylor and compromise Michael Saylor. But Epstein's publicist said, he's very creepy. I don't know if I can take his money. I don't even know how to blackmail him because he has no personality and he doesn't understand social behavior. And then Autism Capital says, Michael Saylor was actually saved by his autism from being compromised by Epstein to get free. So Bitcoin bros who are highly autistic, we were typically safe, I think, from some of this. Now, remember last tranche that came out, there was the email where Epstein and his associates were saying, hey, let's try to target Peter Thiel. Let's try to get into the circles of Elon. Now, as far as I'm aware, nothing has come out that they were successful. So keep in mind that they wanted to compromise and bring into this ring and influence pretty much anybody prominent. So that would be everybody from Trump to Elon, to Peter Thiel, to Bill Gates, it was like scientists, CEOs, A-list celebrities. And by the way, why have we all forgotten the celebrities? A few years ago, everyone was talking about the celebs that flew on the plane. Everyone was talking about, the Clinton's flights on the plane, right? And now I saw a little bit of Hillary and Bill in the news, but it's like the focus now is all on just a couple of randos. And I'm not saying they don't matter. Like, for example, one of the recent people that popped up was Robin Leach. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. Allegedly strangled girls in the most recent dump. Now, this is where it's getting really crazy. Now, is this one, again, I don't know. But this does seem plausible. There are many people that are into this kind of stuff, the BDSM type stuff. And we're not to the really shocking one yet. But again, allegedly Robin Leach. Here was the 20-page release that is all blacked out. Gee, thank you. Thank you for releasing an entirely blacked out document. So A lot of information still being hidden. Here was an odd photo that popped up in the Jeff Stein McCaffrey tranche, which is an Orthodox, kind of looks Roman Catholic, probably more, it's more sort of Roman Catholic cross next to a bed, and then something is blacked out, so we have no idea what this is, but it is bizarre. This one, I thought people were sharing this one just because it's funny. There's a question of, do you have that photo of you with the girls in Paris where you looked fat and retarded? Can you send me that? we don't know who Epstein was sending that email to, but probably Tristan. No, I'm just joking. I mean, I don't know who do you think looked fat and retarded? It could be anybody. Lauren Nowitzki shared a post here of Epstein would call Dershowitz, and then the Mossad would call Dershowitz and debrief on the basis of what went down. So this one I would say is probably legit. This is an FBI investigation memo, it looks like. This is a FBI reporting document, and it reads that Harry Tanosidinbo has developed Trump hotels. He is a billionaire. Harry Blank introduced him or her to the Indonesian Central Intelligence Agency. This person speaks Indonesian. He bought his Beverly Hills home from Trump and inflated the price. So-and-so was at his house when somebody chat with Trump told him that he was going to fuck over Amazon and all of their military contracts. CHS, which is the CHS reporting document of the FBI, advised that this was a real collusion story. This is the one that allegedly, the document alleges that Trump was compromised by Israel, and Kushner is the brains behind this presidency. So this is an FBI memo from, it doesn't say the year. And then the next document, this one is 2020. I don't know if it's the same document, but it says, Harvard law professor Dershowitz learned that many students were from wealthy families. For example, Josh Kushner and Jared Kushner were his students. Dershowitz told this FBI investigation unit that if he were young again, he would hold a stun gun as an Israeli intelligence agent. I don't know what that means. FBI report believes that Dershowitz was co-opted by the Mossad and subscribed to their mission. He still continues to communicate occasionally for Dershowitz. Jeffrey Epstein was represented by Dershowitz. This memo remembers Dershowitz would tell Alex Acosta, the attorney of Florida, that Epstein belonged to both U.S. and Allied intelligence services. This is what I said all along. So here's a memo vindicating that. It's not just, and this is what's in the first few chapters of Whitney's book anyway. So it's U.S., Israeli, probably British intelligence. But he also, I mean, it could be others too. Like Epstein had a Saudi passport too. And that relates to Adnan Khashoggi because he also, Adnan Khashoggi's yacht, according to the first couple chapters of Whitney's book, was also fitted out with compromised cameras and whatnot. And there was actually a scandal of hiring Pakistani boy and girl prostitutes on the Adnan Khashoggi yacht, which was again fitted out with recording equipment. So are you noticing the pattern here? Whether it's Franklin cover-up, whether it's Adnan Khashoggi's yacht, whatever. And Adnan Khashoggi was not just Saudi, that was also a Saudi Mossad thing. After these calls, wait, here we go. FBI shared phone calls between Dershowitz and Epstein during which they took notes. After the calls, Mossad would then call Dershowitz and debrief Epstein that he was close, because he was close to former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. And of course, we have the multiple public articles admitted to be accurate. Ehud Barak would visit Epstein's houses, I think it was like 18 times. Ehud Barak trained as a spy under him. I don't know who him is. Him could be, it doesn't say who the him is. Barak believed that Benjamin Netanyahu was a criminal. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States, United Arab Emirates are actually allied against Qatar, Turkey, and Iran, and Syria. One of the FBI, this is blacked out, presumably worked with so-and-so. So-and-so asked a lot of questions about Epstein. FBI became convinced, this unit report became convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent. Yeah. Now, this is what we have been saying from the get-go as well, because many people within the Israeli power structure have said that Epstein was CIA. Was Mossad. And not just people within that power structure. We also have people within the CIA, whistleblowers within the CIA. For example, we just covered, and I noticed Kyriakou who's Greek Orthodox, by the way. Kyriakou was just on Sam Tripoli. So I'm going to try to get Kyriakou on, because he also, I noticed some of his podcasts was saying, obviously Epstein was Mossad. I mean, this is so obvious. But I guess if apostate prophet and other people tell us that it's not, then he wasn't, right? Because obviously apostate prophet knows about this kind of stuff for sure.
This is something that I say in my sort of canned speeches at colleges and universities. Let's say that you are a CIA case officer and you have recruited a bona fide terrorist, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, whatever. You meet with this guy once a month in a hotel somewhere in the Middle East, and he has given you actionable intelligence that you have used to save American lives. So this guy's the real deal. You fly out to the Middle East to meet with him 1 week, and he says to you, you know what? I've given you everything that you've wanted, everything. And now you're going to do something for me. You're going to go out and get me a prostitute. And if you don't get me a prostitute, I'm not going to cooperate anymore. And I ask the audience, so what do? You get him a prostitute? Let me see your hands. And usually about 90% will put their hands up in the air. And I say, sure, you would get him the prostitute. It's ugly. It's a dirty game. But this is the job that we've chosen for ourselves. What if he asks you for a child prostitute? And usually people look around, and then gingerly about 10% will kind of put their hands up in the air. And I say, absolutely not. Not under any circumstances. My God, it's a child. But this is the rub. There's no rule at the CIA that says you can't. Remember, your job is to commit espionage. Your job is to break foreign countries' laws every single day. Just your presence in that country is a crime because you're undercover and you're working independently of that country's government. But you've got to go in to these situations with your own set of moral values.
So there's Kyriakou saying, no, this is what happens. So let's listen to specifically this part.
Seeing a guy like him. Why? He's a convicted pedophile, first of all, and probably way worse than just that.
Yes.
I think the evidence is pretty strong that he was way worse than that.
It's bad guy.
I say all the time, and I'm going to repeat it here. I think the reason why even in death he's being protected is I believe pretty strongly that he was a Mossad access agent.
As do I.
Yeah. So there you have famous CIA whistleblower John Kyriakou saying it. I believe I have still saved in my. See if it's hopefully it's still in here. Yeah. So former Mossad operative Ari Ben Menashe, he's even in Whitney Webb's book multiple times over. He said this probably 10 times in interviews.
My head of military intelligence in Israel. And he apparently was very friendly with Epstein. And he probably would have known about it.
The problem, Ari, with your accusations and allegations are that you're not providing any evidence that Israel was part of running Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, again, Maxwell was working for Israel. The Epstein was working for Maxwell at the time, and he was introduced to Maxwell's daughter, and they were introduced to Israeli intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. Duh. Okay, so let's get back to the leaks here. Well, they're documents, I don't know about leaks, but all right, the next one, this is probably the most disturbing one that has surfaced, at least within the last few hours. I'm not exactly sure what this is. Apparently it's texts that Epstein sent. In the hall, Ghislaine said she was beautiful, and she was, not is. She was a beautiful girl. I heard her, but where is she? Why did she stop whimpering? she was born. I heard tiny cries. I can't do this anymore. Close your eyes, don't speak. She doesn't talk. I can't stop shaking. It's been a week. A decision was made, but I can't tell Jeffrey. So this is maybe Ghislaine's text. The doctor was different. I think he was from Israel. He had kind eyes, but he didn't speak to me. This was different. A shot and those rod-like things had a hook and so much pain. This sounds like some sort of extreme BDSM type stuff. Ghislaine said to push all the pain away. I don't understand. Blood and water all over the bed. Well, there we go. There were tiny cries. I am lost. Or is this an abortion? I saw between the fingers a tiny head in the doctor's hands. I reached the arm and it had a tiny foot. So this perhaps was an abortion or something else. So it sounds like, as people are saying in the comments, this apparently was people that were pimped out, but then they got impregnated. And does this mean they would traffic the baby or abort the baby? Well, exactly. It could be either all the above. I think this is the one that we just looked at. This is just a crisis report. People calling in and saying that Jay-Z and Pusha T are handlers, allegedly. Now, this I don't think is directly related to Jeff Stein McEffery, but it is relevant. And I'm not saying that Brigitte is a man, but here's Macron talking about the artwork that he wants to celebrate, and he condemns the fact that somebody vandalized the quote artwork at the Palais de Tokyo. And then you can go look up the tweet to see, because it's a painting, but it's a painting of, you can imagine what. So this shows you that the type of artwork that Macron supports. Again, here's one of the most shocking ones to come out. And this is an email from Jeff Stein McEffery to Martin Nowak. And it says, let's see. Okay, it doesn't have the previous email. It just says, our spy was captured after completing her mission. And then Epstein replies, did you torture her? Well, there you go. And this is a Harvard professor. A casual email where Epstein asked Harvard professor Nowak, did you torture her? So here we have full-on overlap of sexual blackmail, compromise, espionage, academia, and torture. Leaked file says Trump talked about making someone disappear. Epstein kept her scared. Let's see what this document is. After this person left Epstein's circle in 2000, Epstein threatened her and her family if she ever talked about what all she saw. The name at the bottom is a pseudonym, but the signature is under penalty of perjury, meaning that she is putting all of this on record, knowing it could put her and her family in danger. And this is a woman who claims to have seen Trump do something, or no, claims to have heard Trump say that someone will disappear. Now, this is a Jane Doe report. This isn't proof. This is just a Jane Doe report. And remember that anyone can send in a Jane Doe report. Now, I'm not saying that gets anyone off the hook. I'm just saying that's what that is. So you have to be careful and not rush to say, oh, this is proof that so-and-so did something. It may be, but it also may not be. Just like the woman who claims that Jay-Z, and I'm not protecting Jay-Z or Harvey Weinstein. I'm just saying that if a woman claims that Jay-Z abducted her 7 times in the night, I'm skeptical of that. All right, so let's see what's next. Now, this relates back to Pizzazz-gate. Okay, so let's see what this relates to. This is another email from Epstein, and it's about Pizzazz. You mean the radiating soft glow and the look of bliss and excitement? That's the pizza. She looks pregnant. So this seems to confirm that, as we all knew that the references to chicken and pizza were references to other things. But this seems to, again, confirm this now, not just with the DC people, but now with Jeff Stein McEffery. Thank you. I didn't realize that BUSHRA graped him. Bush graped him. Okay. And this is an email from somebody to somebody, and it says FBI New York. So this is Detective so-and-so, New York Police Detective, Bureau of Child Exploitation, Task Force, and it's just, I don't know if it's Bush Senior. Let's see if it says here. It's a 2019 email interview with purported Epstein victim. So this is a FBI interview. It's an email about an interview that was a victim, alleged victim. I'd like to disclose a few other points by the purported victim. So the email's not saying that they are, it's just that it's a report. While on the yacht, this victim claimed to witness African-American males doing it with blondes. He was a victim of ritual sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar. On the yacht, he witnessed, I can't say that on YouTube, and claims that he was raped by George Bush. Now, this victim disclosed that he was escorted to the FBI by Michael Moore, the creator of The True Pundit and the documentaries. Moore has a criminal record as a result of FBI investigation for copyright infringement. Let me know if you want to discuss the former FBI agent. So now this is one of the more salacious ones. And again, I mean, this one, I just don't know. Like, is it possible? It's possible, but this is a person that is an associate of Michael Moore, who is totally not credible, that Michael Moore is escorted to the FBI building because this person claimed that he was butt humped by George Bush. I mean, I just don't know about that one. I mean, this is another pizza head count, and it's a Stratfor email, but this doesn't have any direct reference to Jeff Stein McEffery. Are you sure that this might not make this a Jim Jones Kool-Aid event? Does the pizza include those of us who can't make the meeting because we were out here editing? Who is in the Austin office today that wants pizza? So, I mean, to me, this one just literally sounds like they're ordering pizza. I don't know. It could be anything. Here's a really shocking one. Here's Jeff Stein McEffery saying, "Where are you? Are you okay? I love the TORTURE video." So that, I would say that's probably real. That's Epstein saying he likes that. Okay, so let's go over here to RT because they seem to be collating this in a pretty organized, substantial way. Okay, we covered those. Here's another interesting one. Epstein to his publicist, Petty Siegel. No, there will be Goyim in abundance. The JP Morgan executives are brilliant wasps. Here's the WASP Zionist Alliance that we talk about. Here's another one from the Publicist to Jeff Stein McEffery. This will be a 100% Jewish event, right? Perlman and Yum Yum has some Goyim. I'm getting my media elite list fixed. What about Charlie Rose? We love him. What about Jane Fonda? She's my new best friend. There's nothing like an ex-Jew hater with a Jewish boyfriend to mix it up. Interesting attitudes and discussions here. Is this 2 emails or 4 emails? I can't tell. I guess this is just 2. More code words, possibly. Pizza and grape soda. No one else can understand. Very possible this is actual Epstein email saying, I forgot about that. What time did we get pizza and grape soda? And this, of course, the reason people are saying this is that this was back to those Podesta emails discussing $65,000 for hot dogs and pizza. All right, the next one says, this is better than a Chinese cookie. Let's go out for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can know. Here's another one. Send pizza to Bobby. I don't know who Bobby is. Here's a good one. Let's see what this is. The Rothschild. I miss our talks. When will you be free? We need to talk about Ukraine. Epstein says in response to Rothschild, the Ukraine upheaval will provide many opportunities. This is after the Maidan coup of 2014. So this is A de Rothschild. So is that Ariane? Yeah. So collating together with Ariane de Rothschild here about monetary advantages that could be had in Ukraine after the Maidan coup. Here's one. Let's see. Redacted. This is why. This is Bannon's email or messages with who? I'm not sure who Bannon is texting here, but it says Bannon is saying Ehud is massive. We can announce that I'm a strategic advisor. Somebody says this will be a long campaign. Bannon says this is a brilliant move. This person says, now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears that you and I are friends. Bannon says this is dangerous. Did you ever send Dan footage? But I don't know who Bannon is texting here. And then it goes on to say, all roads lead to Beijing or to Tel Aviv, wink. So somebody that Bannon is texting with is saying, well, we all know who's running all this shit. Bannon says China, and the person he's texting says, you mean Beijing. You mean Tel Aviv. This was Epstein's email saying you have permission to unalive someone. Norwegian Crown Princess Mette-Marit mentioned several hundred times in the newly published Epstein documents. In media statement, the princess regretted her poor judgment in having any contact with him. Well, I would imagine so. One of Epstein's victims said that she was raped by 14. She stated that he drugged her, causing her to drift out of consciousness, and that he'd like to paint his face like a clown. Wow. That to me sounds plausible. So, this is all just like dropping right now. So we're trying to sift through all this like in live time. That's why it's kind of taking me a second to do it. And you have to pay attention and be careful because a lot of these are just, we don't even know what these are. Apparently Epstein's lawyers offered to cooperate. Epstein was willing to rat everyone out. So if he's, this is likely why he would be unalived. That's kind of what everybody suspected. Another email between Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew talks about spending 2 nights with the Rothschilds. Then Ghislaine tries to convince him to come to the island and spend time with Redacted and 5 stunning redheads. We will all play with ourselves. And there is the 2002 email interaction with Prince Andrew. So that one's not very surprising, but it does mention that Prince Andrew spent 2 nights with the Rothschilds. Epstein emailing Peter Mandelson, former UK cabinet minister. Does that make it incest? Ooh, how exciting. So look, these people are just absolute sickos, dude. Now remember, distinguish the emails, which are more damning in my view. The text messages and the emails are more damning than the FBI reports. I'm not saying those FBI reports are all fake. I'm just saying it's just like a police report, right? I can call the police right now and report that, Alex Jones touched my butt and I'm traumatized, and that will go into the report. And then if that gets leaked, then look, Alex Jones is in the Dyer butt report. The butt leaks, the Dyer butt leaks are out there and Alex Jones touched his butt, right? But that's just me calling and reporting it. So we don't know if that actually happened. And by the way, no, it did not happen. Epstein, would you like to come to a party? Wink, he says. There will be UN diplomats that are interesting. Musk says, I am very busy and meeting UN diplomats will be a waste of time. Epstein, it's a Diddy party, you retard. What? Did he actually say that? So this is crazy. This is emails between Elon and Epstein. Do you think I'm retarded? Just kidding. There's nobody at this party over 25. I run a production company, engineered for complicated companies. SpaceX is about to launch the most important rocket in history. Flying to New York to see diplomats will be a waste of my time. Any plans for opening the General Assembly? There's many interesting people here. I don't know I guess the person was saying it's a Diddy party. Okay, that's somebody's joke. Okay, so basically Epstein is saying, come to this party. There's UN diplomats, and he's speaking in code, and Elon apparently doesn't get the joke or the reference, and he says, why would I waste my time meeting UN diplomats? And it's saying they're prostitutes. That's actually kind of funny. It's not, it's tragic, but you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that Elon didn't get the reference is funny. Okay, here's one, Petty Siegel and Epstein, the publicist, emails. I can bring a little baby back for you, or perhaps 2. Boys or girls, this is so Madonna. Publicist Petty Siegel updates Epstein on her East Africa trip. Can I bring back a baby for you, or 2? Boys or girls, so Madonna. Yikes, that was pretty wild. 2009 Kenya trip. So that's pretty damning right there. Elon declines multiple invitations to Epstein Island. Breaking, released video. Jeffrey Epstein chasing youths. You can go look that up. It's blacked out, but you can go look it up on Twitter. I don't want to get the stream taken down. Here we go. This is all just like happening right now, dude. This is so crazy. Jamie, could you make me some more coffee? Because this is like next level trots of just insanity coming out nonstop. I know it's crazy. I thought last night when they were talking about this, was like, here we go, another bunch of nothing. Could you maybe express something? But this has turned out to be really crazy. Guys, if you would hit like and share, also feel free to support the stream through super chats. Super chats done through Streamlab. Now, remember, we've covered this on my channel for a long time. Really, this is a lot of vindication for what we've talked about and been made fun of for so many years. Going back, I would say, I first heard about this around 2014. We talked about Pizzazzgate. We talked about all that stuff. We've been pretty much spot on when I think about all the major analyses, right? We talked about the Mossad CIA angle. We talked about Maxwell, that whole history. We talked about just Lane's background. We talked about Rothschild elements. All of that has been confirmed in a lot of these new documents. And we were spot on. Now, I didn't bring in Sumerian time travel technology, so I guess I didn't get the real scoop, and I'm not the real decoder. Because if I talked about some retarded schizo shit, we'd have 2 million people watching this this bunch of baloney. If I'm saying it's baloney, if I'd started talking about Sumerian time travel stuff, right? So if I soup this up with a bunch of bullshit, y'all would be going crazy. Epstein had a time machine that you could put in your butt and it would take you back to the gay times of Sodom and Gomorrah. That would people, oh, he had it, it's real. How dare you? If you disagree, you're Mossad. So where's the love, y'all? We were spot on everything. All right, what's next? Deepak Chopra. What do you know? New Agers. Forwarded Epstein an email from Stanford Research Institute's Russell Targ discussing the success of the remote viewing programs. And we cannot see the large remote. So now we've got Stanford Research remote viewing occult technology connected to Epstein. I can't tell if Epstein's interested in it. Okay, he does reply. He says, no, I don't know who this is. This is somebody else's email. Oh, this is Deepak Chopra emailing someone else about remote viewing, but he forwarded this email to Epstein, which is interesting. So that's the Epstein with very young people. Can't play that.
That's Project Stargate.
I know.
Me and BLA talked about that on our Stargate.
Well, I've done, me and Cotil did a stream on Stargate and the Gateway process. Oh, let's see. Okay, we covered these. Here's an odd one. Epstein email to from we don't know who. I've just realized that when you criticize democracy, you use Plato's argument with surgery. I just realized that male juice is really good body lotion. Whoa. And then people are saying, oh, this proves the Dark Enlightenment's bad because if you criticize democracy, you're an Epstein person. This is just some random person's email to Epstein. So, by the way, that doesn't mean the arguments are bad. So let's not fall into retard fallacies here. And then, so they admit that they have SNUFF and TORTURE. So they admit it's 8mm stuff, but nobody's going to be arrested. According to Epstein files, Epstein signed a contract with the Rothschilds for $25 million. This is a document here. It doesn't say what it's for. But who was covering this? Your boy right here. Again, vindicated once again. This was another comedic one that in 2013, I guess Epstein was a gamer, and Epstein got banned from Xbox for severe, repeated, excessive abuse and threats. So apparently, Jeff Stein McEvery had a tendency to rage quit playing Black Ops and Red Dead Redemption and whatever Xbox games. And he got banned from Xbox Live. So that one is just a side note of comedy here. Here is this the black guy that claimed that he was, let's see, your boy Bill Clinton implicated in graping. This was a claim. This is the alleged person who claims that Bill Clinton was butt humping. Again, we don't know. This is the one that seems to be pretty outlandish. Again, this is just a report, FBI investigation of an alleged victim. Definitely collusion between Michael Wolff, this New York Times journalist, or is he New York Times? Well, I don't know what he is. New York journalist, excuse me. Bedfellows with Epstein colluding to try to, but now think about this. assuming that this is Epstein's not lying in this email. I mean, if he had compromising information, it seems like he would have mentioned it or used it. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm just saying this is interesting that Epstein would just simply say, well, Trump didn't end up getting any massages, which makes us feel like the massages were what was offered for compromise. A lot of people are talking about the crypto, the privacy focused, supposedly crypto Zcash. Zcash is ultimately, I think, an Israeli created crypto. And this is the Zcash meter meeting with Epstein McGeffrey. It's another weird one that people are talking about. Jeffrey Epstein's bank account perhaps was called Baal. So here we are back to Babylon, to Canaanite worship. Baal. Now, we don't know for sure that this was his account, but people are saying that apparently he named his bank account. He or someone in this sphere named it Baal. Russians with attitudes, a good Twitter follow there. They're saying after a little bit of research confirms that it was the Slovak politician and diplomat Miroslav Lajkak who sent these messages texting Epstein about meeting Zelensky just a few weeks before Epstein's arrest. Lajkak resigned today as special advisor to Robert Fico due to all these Epstein ties. So now Epstein's even tied to the Maidan coup in the Ukraine. And notice that a minute ago we were talking about this because Epstein had, it appears, allegedly in some of these documents, signed multiple $1 million contracts with the Epsteins and with the Rothschilds, and had messaged Ariane de Rothschild about, or Ariane Rothschild had messaged him about the monetary gain that could be had after the Maidan coup in the Ukraine. So war becomes a means of profit. Elon has pushed for all this to be released. So to me, that suggests that there's not compromising data on Elon. I'm not saying Elon doesn't have other ways that he could be criticized, but I don't think Elon would have been pushing so hard for this to be released if he was compromised. That's just my opinion.
I had a question to ask you real quick. So have you seen the latest Epstein files about the Rothschilds?
Yeah, I just covered it for an hour.
Sorry, I came in late. I came in a little bit late. So what do you think of the mentions of the tiny mustache man and how he was basically supported by them? Like he went to a
wait. I thought you were talking about Epstein. Hold on. I thought you were talking about the Epstein stuff. What are you talking about?
That was part of the emails. Like they were talking about how tiny mustache man was essentially in one of the emails that Epstein was replying to Ariana de Rothschild. I don't know what the context behind this was, but
I did cover that one, but maybe I missed. I didn't notice anything about tiny mustache man. So let me see.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that you were vindicated on that.
Oh, really? Well, shit, I missed it. I wasn't reading it close enough. So hold on, let's see. Let's pull that up. Epstein, Rothschild. What if Epstein McGeffrey was like a longtime subscriber to Jay's analysis under some like pseudonym, and then people are like, oh look, he's connected. I'm joking, by the way. If people can't figure out jokes. Okay, Epstein, Rothschild, and he's apparently saying that. Okay, so we covered the one about the Maidan coup where they talked about making money. I saw one about. Here's one about Epstein had a contract with Rothschild Group for $25 million. And you're saying that there's one about Tiny Mustache Man?
Yeah, let me see if I could find it. I just gotta scroll up real quick.
Okay, yeah. Tell me like what the title or who the profile is that has that, because I'm very interested in that. Oh, here it is. Okay. Epstein and Ariana discussing Tiny Mustache Man. Okay, this is crazy. I know it's true, but regularly used to say that the Rothschilds planned and supported Tiny Mustache Man. I know it's true. Okay, that's Ariana. She's sending that to Jeffrey? Looks like. Yes. I'm in the Maldives. I've been diving a lot. Back in Europe on the 3rd. Epstein says, first, it turns out to be 100% true. Tiny Mustache Man was selling clothes and artwork, living in a shelter, but it was funded by Jews. Epstein, Rothschild, Gutman. There's no conspiracy. The Epsteins were the Vienna bankers. They bought their bank on the ring, hence the Palais Epstein. Where are you? I'm in bed with your cold. Oh, so that means that Ariana and Epstein McGeffrey hang out enough to get a cold. Whether it's a way to say generosity or not is rewarded, that the conspiracy still whether it's it's a way to say that generosity is not rewarded or the conspiracy theory still exists. Quite pathetic. So it sounds like they're saying that people still think it's a conspiracy theory is pathetic.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, and it kind of.
Oh, hold on.
supports the idea.
There's a little more. Hold on. It says, I thought you would find it amusing that in a Harvard class on Tiny Mustache Man, they told the story that he was so poor he lived in a shelter, and that he was financed by 3 wealthy families: the Gutmans, the Epsteins, and the Rothschilds. This turns out to be accurate. Oh, are all the Tiny Mustache Mans gonna the millions of them? Not millions, but the thousands of them that attacked me the last 6 months and just went in ape shit on me, are they going to apologize? I don't think so. They'll just say they're just gonna say they're.
For that, because I said no, because I was just on my back.
Thank you. No, that's awesome. I'm glad you called attention to that. Appreciate that, dude. So, vindicated. Now, what are they going to say? They're just saying that to demoralize us. Well, apparently the elites have the exact same view that I have because I read their books. Well. What do you know? Here's Lady Lynn, owner of the board of directors of The Economist with Jeff Stein McGeffrey. The Economist is co-owned by the Rothschild family. Well. Look at that. Now, are any of the Tiny Mustache Man obsessed creeps going to? Absolutely not. Totally vindicated. Even I was beginning to doubt and think, maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe Tiny Mustache Man. What? I had so many thousands of people attacking me, calling me every single name of the book because I went on Alex Jones, and that got 1 million views on Twitter across all the different clips and whatnot. And man, they were going ape shit against me, just going insane. Wow. I guess Jeff Stein McGeffrey and Ariana de Rothschild know I'm right on that. So it's just funny. But what do you know? I got to read this because it says, this is the most cringe email I've ever read. Okay, let's see what it says.
Oh, that guy's in there? That's crazy.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Robin Leach.
Who's Jason Calacanis?
He's like a tech bro guy.
Okay. Says Ghislaine sent him an email saying, hey, Nick Jarecki over at my place last night. We were watching Sopranos and Pasta, and he is on my computer, and my email was open, and it was like, hey, you know G-Max? And I was like, yeah, you know G-Max? And he was like, yeah. And we were all like, whoa, and cool. Okay, well, that was not that. That was kind of anticlimactic. Here's another that says, what is ice cream boarding? What is ice cream boarding? Waterboarding with ice cream. I imagine today is torture for you, all the food and gorging yourself. How about a list of the next subjects to ice cream boarding, my version of torture? Okay, it's hard to tell if that's joking or being serious. Turns out Ghislaine, I don't know if is this real or is this a joke? Ghislaine was a Reddit supermod. Epstein was on 4chan and liked to troll. Apparently, he might have even started Reddit politics. You can't even make this up. Apologize to all your local schizos. Well, I said all along Reddit was some kind of degenerate honey trap. I never ever went on there. I always hated it. Emails alleging that Epstein traveled to Paris with Woody Allen 2012 as part of a correspondence for the PEDO convention. Okay, let's see. Jeffrey Epstein emails Tom Pritzker, billionaire of Hyatt Hotels, cousin of the Illinois Pritzker promoting trans stuff family. Jacques is having dinner with Macron today. The timing is perfect. Let's see, who's Jacques? Somebody needs to look and see if Jacques Attali's in there. The Epstein files include a Saddam Hussein meme. That's weird. Uh-oh. Britney Spears? Wait, what? Epstein email shows him discussing grants and mentions money going to a neonatal project tied to Britney Spears. What? It references her custody situation, casually brought up in the middle of an academic funding talk. Wow. I'm attaching my CV. It wouldn't be superfluous as investment. It's a charity, blah, blah, blah. The Institute for Music and Brain Science is a private foundation. It can fund the research. We'd use some of the initial funds for perception and ERP lab. I have a small army of students staffing the Institute. I've attached a picture, blah, blah, blah. The salary would free me up from some grants. My new pal at the University of Music, Universal Music, has offered to send Britney Spears to the neonatal ICU project that I sent the Florida Science Foundation I sent the Florida Science Foundation in 2009. but there's custody issues surrounding her kids. Since he is her publisher, the time has been prohibited me from pursuing it. My new pal at Universal offers to send Britney Spears to the neonatal ICU project that I sent the Florida Science Foundation. Wow. So like, and you guys recall, we did some podcasts some years back that a lot of the conspiracy stuff in regard to Britney Spears being essentially controlled under her conservatorship. And if you watch her on her Instagram, she's essentially gone insane. I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm being absolutely 100% serious. Like, this then suggests perhaps she is farmed out. Isn't it interesting though? This one is a killer one, right? That Larry Summers says that the real drama and hub of control at the Vatican isn't Benedict stepping down, it's the Vatican Bank, and that's the key angle to try to get into. Democrat delegate Stacey Plaskett went to Epstein Island in 2014. While his stuff was still active, she confirmed herself in the email. She asked for a private ride. She texted Epstein during a congressional hearing. She is still working in the government. Lord Peter Mandelson shows up half-dressed in the Epstein files in his whitey-tighty ugly underwear. Epstein gave him apparently $15,000 for something.
No, I was wondering, do we know that people are saying the DOJ released this stuff? What do you think the angle is? Why do you think they released it? Why do you think they released it now? I know there's a lot of redactions, but you know, I see leftists going, "Oh, this means Trump is definitely a PDF," and other people saying no. And what do you think about that?
Well, I've not seen anything yet, other than there's the older women that came forward with the tips claiming these wild things. But I've not seen anything beyond the stuff that was already out there in regard to Trump himself. There was an email where Epstein said that he invited Trump, but Trump would not get a massage. So, I mean, but it's like happening as we speak. So there could be more stuff that I just haven't seen, or like that guy that called in and was talking about the Rothschilds admitting to Epstein that their family had helped fund Tiny Mustache Man. I didn't even see that. I mean, like, so there's stuff that I'm missing. Here's obviously one that's very sus there. But so if there's something about, you know, people that I'm missing, let me know. Because immediately people say, "Oh, he's covering it up. He's covering up things." If you see something, because all this stuff is breaking right now.
It's a lot to go through, too.
It is. So
I'm just wondering why they released it now. If it's random, if there's a reason.
Well, Thomas Massey was really pushing for it. And,
okay,
you know, he and Trump have been at odds for a while now. So
yeah,
a lot of people are saying Thomas Massey is a hero now because he actually got all this out. But I don't know.
Do we know where we're at in Ghislaine's trial? I haven't heard anything on that in a while either.
Now, a lot of people are playing this model, and I'll give you my opinion on it. Again, I think that there are amongst the elite probably people who are into all kinds of weird stuff, including tasting people. I've even met people in the punk scene who claim to be into that. There was this girl I almost went on a date with. I kind of went on a date with her, like back in, let's say, 2011. And she was a former punk scene girl. And she claimed that this was like a trend amongst some people in the punk scene in New York. I don't know. She could have just been bullshitting, but she claimed that like it was more of a cut a small, you know, piece out of your flesh and eat it for, you know, to say you've done it. And I don't doubt that there's elites that do this, but this video keeps going around. This has actually been out for 10 years. And she was a model, I think, like a Argentina, Peru model. And she kind of had this mental breakdown in public. And I think she disappeared, but she claimed that people were eating people amongst the elite. Personally, I think that, again, she might have been invited to some wild, you know, Eyes Wide Shut party, but she also seems to kind of be having a mental breakdown too. So it's always hard to know when you've got these influencer, model, pop star people, when they have the mental breakdowns. Like, it's hard to know what's drugs or what's actually, you know, going on. And everybody is sharing this thing that I just on the surface of it doesn't seem very credible to me. It's just a guy's report claiming that George Bush raped him. That to me, just some random black dude. Yeah, George Bush raped me. Epstein wanted to help Ponomarev in Russia as he thought he would replace Putin. Pomonatov. Ponomarev is now in Ukraine planning terror attacks against Russia. And this was all before the Maidan. So actually, what's another fascinating thing that people didn't expect was Epstein having such a significant role in the Ukraine stuff. I mean, he's like talking to the Rothschilds about how to make money there. He's meeting with Zelensky, sending emails, consulting. And this is one saying about Davos. So here we have World Economic Forum, Davos. We should go to Russia soon and to meet my friend Ilya Ponomarev. He's a member of the Duma, and he and Alanya, his smart, cute girlfriend, are the main organizers of the uprising against Putin. So here's Epstein trying to agitate and take down Putin. And they mentioned Davos. I'm afraid what will happen to him. The stakes are large. He might replace Putin and become president. This is in 2012, by the way. If he's not killed, it's very dangerous. How can we help him? Not with Davos, but with the other stuff in general. He is very smart and one of the most connected people in Russia. Wow. I got to share that one. That's crazy. Epstein involved directly in the efforts to overthrow Putin. Bill Gates is chief science advisor coordinating with Epstein on Russian regime change operations in 2012. By 2015, they were using the same networks to arrange U.S. asylum for LGBT Russians, utilizing the LGBT movement that Russia had outlawed in 2013. This is 2 years before Crimea. Wow. So this is pretty much like vindicating just everything, dude. This is so crazy. Epstein was grooming girls in the Donbass and Ukraine for intelligence operations. So when the war regions happen, they become hubs for human trafficking, especially for getting these, gorgeous Ukrainian, Russian girls and bringing them into these honey trap. These are messages from 2019 after Zelensky's election. The girl is from the Artemovsk Donetsk region. He starts with The Little Prince. That's a dystopian novel, I think, written by Anton Saint-Exupéry, a child's novel about love, loneliness, and taming. The book's central message is you become responsible forever for what you have tamed. He sends an image of the quote and explains that the tamed one really means accepting wildness and riding with it. 66-year-old convicted sex trafficker is explaining to young women from a war zone how he plans to tame them using a children's book. Oh, wow. So this is like bringing in the dystopian novel, science fiction, Alice in Wonderland type programming stuff. But here he's just using the Anton Saint-Exupéry novel for that. He offers to pay her for her education if she leaves the relationship and instructs her to study Zelensky corruption in Ukrainian parliament. He tells her the corruption is sophisticated and that massive amounts of money will be made from this. He wants her to become a female oligarch. Wow. He's a convicted trafficker. She's a desperate girl from a war zone. The children's literature is part of the programming for taming, promises wealth and instruction on political corruption. He was exploiting the women and cultivating assets. That's insane, dude. This is getting crazier and crazier. So DD Geopolitics, by the way, has got some of the really killer stuff here. Did Epstein, go ahead. Slovak Prime Minister, top advisor resigns as files revealed that he discussed the girls with Epstein. So basically, they just recruit all these people. They recruit the girls, train them, recruit all of these people to their parties, islands, hotels, parlors, events, compromise them. And then that's how they're controlling a huge portion of the world. Somebody needs to check too, by the way, about China and what elements of China are mentioned. I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be like Bannon or whatever and say China runs everything. I'm saying like I've not seen China really come up yet, except for maybe once. But the Norwegian princess that we saw earlier, Mette-Marit, says to Epstein, "You always make me smile. You tickle my brain." Bizarre. And she was the one emailing Epstein about parenting advice for her 15-year-old naked women for her son, which is just weird. Son of Norway crown prince to stand trial for allegedly raping 4 women. And this is the son that the mom, the crown princess, is asking Epstein about advice for. You can't make this up. Look at this. This is crazy. Yeah, so that's exactly, so people in the chat are saying that he's on trial for this. Well, he's on trial because his mom was grooming him to be this way from these emails. Here it is right here. Imagine asking Jeffrey Epstein about how to raise your child. This is so crazy. 4chan founder Christopher Poole appears to be connected to Epstein and the launch of poll on 4chan. So here's your politics, disinformation, QAnon, QTARD, limited hangout right there. Emails linking Jeffrey Epstein with Christopher Poole, founder of 4chan. And by the way, I always felt like that was some kind of honey trap disinformation operation. I never went on that nonsense. People were always telling me, you need to get on 4chan and check out the latest. This is where all the conspiracy stuff drops. I'm like, dude, that's a bunch of disinfo and like bullshit drops there. Okay, here we go with Adnan Khashoggi. Epstein was messaging contacts real time as the Khashoggi story broke, speculating that Mohammed bin Salman set up Mohammed bin whatever the other guy's name is. Khashoggi was killed in 2018. That day, Epstein emailed a contact saying, smells bigger to me. I wouldn't be surprised if Mohammed bin Salman didn't set him up. He then messaged to someone else. What I'm told, a secondary source, is that the assassins put the video on his phone and it was hacked. Epstein says again, can they label him a terrorist? Covert operation game has gone bad. Honey trap, the Turks, or Mohammed bin Salman. Then the same night, a message to Epstein says, Mohammed bin Salman asked me to come over and see him as soon as possible. Epstein had sources inside this operation. He was speculating that the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed and Mohammed bin Salman. Mohammed bin Zayed set up the hit to burn Mohammed bin Salman, and someone in his circle was being summoned to meet him the next day. A convicted sex trafficker is running point on the Gulf royal intrigues during an assassination cover-up. Wow. Amazing. Epstein banned discussion about personal political pressure to be put on Trump. Wow. Email dated March 2018 shows Epstein writing directly to Bannon, responding to the Daily Beast article, how close is Donald Trump to a psychiatric breakdown? In the email, Epstein adds his own assessment, writing that the situation needs to add Melania alongside the references to pressure, a Netanyahu indictment, and Jared Kushner's money grubbing, calling it a recipe for tragedy. It appears Epstein viewed Melania Trump and Netanyahu's legal troubles and Kushner's fiance as leverage points on Trump, factors that could be applied to increase the pressure on Trump. Epstein later referred to Melania as the Achilles heel of Trump. Wow. Somaliland in the Epstein files. Newly released emails show Epstein and his network repeatedly discussed Somaliland before its current geopolitical movement. Across multiple exchanges from 2012 to 2018, Somaliland is named as a strategic commercial opportunity tied to war extraction, oil concessions, and media influence and Gulf access. In 2012, in an email, Epstein discusses launching a water company in Somaliland, citing huge untapped clean water reserves near the port city of Berbera, with direct shipping access to Saudi Arabia. He frames the project as fast, profitable, logistically simple, water sources already mapped. This is like Quantum of Solace, dude. This is, if you remember the plot of Quantum of Solace, this is exactly what it is, because Mr. Green, who is using the cover of the Green Agenda, is basically trying to buy up some underwater water supply in some shithole African country. I forget exactly where it is, but this is like almost identically the plot of Quantum of Solace, if you remember that. This is going to be like, we do this all night. Like here it says, Department of Justice releases 3.5 million pages of Epstein information. Jeffrey Epstein called Madonna cattle after seeing her on the Jew Larry King show, where he talks about Kabbalah, and she took KIKE spirituality lessons from some rabbi huckster. Epstein expressed disdain with celebrities getting on the Jew identity bandwagon without actually becoming Jewish. It has been extensively documented that Madonna got into Kabbalah and then introduced people like Britney Spears to Kabbalah. And we saw Britney was mentioned earlier, that Epstein wanted to send her to one of the pregnancy ranches for experiments. Epstein sends Peter Thiel email about the WikiLeaks releases about Podesta. It's weird. It's just a link. This Epstein document explicitly connects the network to Robert Maxwell, Bill Gates, and Prince Andrew, and the Australian government. The Australian Prime Minister John Howard's name appears next to government prostitution. It describes murders being staged as suicides, government cover-ups, money laundering through official accounts, and black market sex trade operating through telecommunications systems. Wow. This spans a time of 1993 to 2022. This is no longer a conspiracy theory. Let's see what this is. Suspected conspired sexual targeting, grooming, Epstein, 2007. Epstein connected to Maxwell, internet, but it doesn't tell us what this is. Just some list of things. Epstein associate, former U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Wayne, allegedly impregnated 11-year-old girl. President of Mexico keenly aware of our case against Marcinko and the U.S. officials. Now, this is the, is this the SEAL Team 6 guy? This is the SEAL Team guy, right? Let's see. Yeah, I think it's got to be. The Epstein files, I found out that they were wait, that can't be right. Moving 1 million children? Let's see if this is real. Princess from Thailand will be in New York in the United Nations with the president of Kosovo. She would like to something, if you have time this week. I should be in Paris. We can plan to promote the book. I'll find someone to translate it into Thai. We can start there. Look forward to having a meeting with you. Something worthwhile for the children. Her Excellency, the Mom Luanga, I can't read that. Some crazy ass Thai name. I don't see anything about 1 million children. Where's that at? Moving them as a massive pool? Maybe. I don't know. Oh, wait, there's more to it. Excuse me. Here's more of them. There's an extraordinary alignment of interest. The 1 million children is a massive pool to tap into. Wow. So this is moving a massive pool of children through Kosovo, through Thailand, and they have a book they wrote for the staff called the Kosovo Children Activity Book. Jeffrey Epstein in Serbia. This is interesting. Uncensored Serbian passport appears in the released documents. Dunav Intel strongly advises readers to be careful. Review the disclaimer. Uncensored Serbian passport appears in the files. The name of Serbian model, identified as BB, appears multiple times in the document. She previously participated in a Serbian TV show in 2011. Some of the photos of the model appear in the files, including an image of her alongside photos of Gil Bates, Jefferson McCaffrey. According to the files, her name appears in a modeling agency, and that's what he was doing with Jean-Luc Brunel, was the fake modeling thing. So this is just linking him to a Serbian model. 2019, several Skype exchanges, contacts shared photos of women from Serbia and proposing them as offerings to Epstein. Notably, Epstein declined one of the women due to a tattoo. He says the women have to be pure. So none of you tatted girls are going to be recruited by Jeff McCaffrey. Oh, this is crazy. Alex says, Bill Gates and globalist kingpins have been devastated by the release of 3 million files. Jeff McCaffrey said, more NIGGERS equals more murder. Epstein ordered employees to kill show animals on the ranch. Show animals. Get rid of all the show animals, kill them. All the miniature horses, pigs, turkeys, goats. Jeff doesn't care about what happens to them, just kill them. It's weird. Epstein, another man talking about David Copperfield's 2 private islands in the Bahamas, one of which hosts an alternative reality experience for $35,000, whatever that means. Interesting. 2011 email shows that Jeffrey Epstein had an associate named Greg Brown discuss plans to extort Libyan officials and seize state assets under the pretext of helping rebuild the country, and that Jeff McCaffrey would have help from MI6 and Mossad. Wow. There we go. The correspondence took place during Libya's civil war, weeks before Gaddafi was removed, indicating the plans were devised while the regime was still in control. Look at that. Libya is a rich country. We can plunder it. I have friends, former MI6 and Mossad, that will help. Wow. Look at that. This might damn well be the greatest day in the history of conspiracy research. I mean, wow. Epstein emails mentioned Belyakov Sergei, Russian politician, 2015, asking to deal with a girl that blackmails New York City businessmen. So you have a politician reaching out to Epstein to deal with a girl, presumably meaning that get rid of her. And then RWA says, from what I understand, this Belyakov is a high-level Ministry of Economic Development official sacked in 2014 for being a libtard, publicly criticizing the government. The girl Epstein is talking about here seems to be Guzel Ganieva of Leon Black Me Too fame. Jeffrey Epstein got Gary Gensler the job at MIT. Interesting. And then people are talking about JF, and we knew this a long time ago. JF Garipi, he was mentioned in them years ago. So let's see what.
Whatever whatever happened to him? I was just
I mean,
thinking about
he's
it. the other
still
day.
he still
He
live streams.
disappeared.
No, he still live streams.
He disappeared just like his girlfriend. They still haven't found his girlfriend. Did you know that?
I've heard that they have not, but so JF says, I am in the Epstein files. What were you doing in 2015? And then JF says, just to be clear, I'm not even joking. Epstein had defects like we all do, but he was a good man, an ambitious man, a visionary in many ways. More people like him could improve the world. And if I remember, they said that because JF's degree is in like neuroscience or neurosurgery or whatever, like something like he was approached by Epstein for some sort of research, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but like Epstein put some money into some kind of research that allegedly that JF was doing or something.
Coconuts.
The coconut. No, it was to create a machine on a planet where there's no God to see if the machine on the planet runs without a God. David Ellison and Skydance Films show up a bunch in the Epstein files related to large wire transfers, allegedly. Epstein file bombshell. Tom Hanks, Jeb Bush named in some files from 2024, but this is these tips. See, this is the stuff that you can't believe, because remember, Epstein had said in one of the earlier emails that he was worried that the WikiLeaks would destroy Hillary and that it might be useful to release a bunch of fake stuff. So even Epstein was aware of how to deflect and crisis manage these kinds of things. That's why he was reaching out to the top Hollywood crisis management guy, as we saw earlier. And so people share these things as if they're like proof, but all these are people's letters and reports to the FBI. So when it says Jeb Bush and Tom Hanks were graping people, it's not that that's not possible. It's that this is just somebody's letter about this stuff. And what happens is when you send tips, or have you ever sent a tip to the police or called in a report? I've done this. Not very much. I did it one time. So one time I was at a bar, and the girl who was checking me out at the bar accidentally ran my card on somebody else's huge tab, right? And so it was like basically bankrupted. This was a long time ago. I didn't have any money at the time. I was broke. But she basically ran all the money out of my account. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. I will get the bar to refund you, $300 tomorrow. I accidentally, ran up this huge tab on your card. I apologize. I can't really refund it right now. So I went to the police department, not because I thought they wouldn't report it, but I thought, well, I might as well report it just in case, because if I don't report it and then they never pay me back, then there's no record of me, making a report. And they actually did refund it. She wasn't lying. It was a legitimate mistake, but I wanted it just on record. So if you report something, it will be on record. That's why you do that kind of stuff. So when people call these in, that's the level of what a lot of this is. And then a lot of the dum-dums on Twitter just act like any report is proof. Look, Tom Hanks is a PDF. We got proof. He could be, but this isn't proof of that. All this is somebody's report. This is a letter from someone whose mom would sell jewelry to Epstein. And so they sent in this letter, or they got this letter. Okay, but that's not proof of anything. Allegedly, NBA Commissioner David Stern emailing Epstein to set up an orgy. I will arrive Saturday. I will see you at 4 p.m. unless you want me to come over for any reason, orgies, etc. Wow. So there's why your NBA is so gay. The NBA gay. It would seem that Epstein's personal hacker was an Italian O'Day developer and seller, established the Saudi government surveillance program, and his company was acquired by CrowdStrike. He allegedly worked at CrowdStrike as a VP. CrowdStrike is the Bill Gates disinformation operation to fact check the news, by the way, if I recall. Here's an interesting one. Epstein, Bill Gates, Larry Cohen, and somebody redacted discussing a strain pandemic simulation in 2017. Whoa. So now we can even connect Jefferson McEffery to the COOF. And why would we not? Gil Bates is directly up in all the COOF. To Bill Gates, Larry Cohen, and Epstein. Larry and I are working on deliverables since you and I spoke. At Larry's request, I've spoken with Roger, Mark, Chris, Trevor, Jeff, Jonah. Everyone offers guidance, thoughts, documentation, blah, blah, blah. The areas I'm most interested in are F-scope, domestic health, neurotech, brain science. Let me know what you think. The deliverables include improved access, public health data, blueprint, a bunch of stuff, white paper on consumer health expenditures, white paper on neurotech, degenerative diseases, white paper on neurotechnology as weapons, follow-up recommendation on technical specifications for strain pandemic simulations. Wow, look at that. The same month Epstein dropped off the face of the earth, COOF took place. Remember that? The COOF? And Epstein was talking to Bill Gates about pandemic strain simulations in 2017. Ooh, this is relevant. Now remember, this fraudster grifter, what did he say this whole time?
Okay, there's no Epstein. Okay. Facts and logic, there's no Epstein.
Let's hear this bogus person.
Thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. Okay, I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Okay, those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list, that basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew.
There is nothing. And it's not connected to Israel at all, according to him.
Or Alan Dershowitz, or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI. And again, that's public. There's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This is
really, I would say that is no longer true. Don't expect him to change any of his positions. Massey says within hours of the releases, super PACs funded by Israeli billionaires have come after him with millions of dollars of ads.